Good day and welcome to Tough Talk. My name is Steve Badier, and our topic today is a little different than usual. It's more of relevance to international students or students that are aspiring to come to Australia. It is about promoting South Australia as a destination for African students. And here to talk about our topic is Karyn Kent, who is the Chief Executive at Study Adelaide. So welcome, Karyn.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah. Okay, so our first question has to do with what do you do at Study Adelaide? What is Study Adelaide and what do you do?
Sure. So we are a public corporation. That means we are partly government funded and partly funded by our members, who are our institutions, so the universities and TAFE and schools. And we have two main purposes. So our first purpose is to promote Adelaide as an international study destination. So it's about raising awareness of Adelaide as a city for future international students. And then the second thing that we do is when the students are here in Adelaide, we run a student engagement program for them. So events, activities and a range of other initiatives to ensure that the students can make the most out of their study and living experience in Adelaide.
Okay, that's beautiful. So let me go back to the first thing. But to make this premise, like when the Prime Minister visited India, he talked about Australia being like the second destination for overseas students. So like South Australia in itself, take me as someone who is in Africa who wants to come to Australia to travel. What are factors that who influence my decision to come to South Australia? What about Adelaide? What about South Australia?
Why should someone come to Adelaide?
Yes, why should someone come to Adelaide?
Well, first of all, it's about education, because obviously that's the reason that a student or someone would be considering going overseas. So what we say is that, you know, we have a group of 8 universities here in Adelaide, but we have 2 other fantastic universities. So we have a really, we were probably known for, in Australia, you know, our education system is very highly regarded. So the education you're going to get in Adelaide is as good as anywhere in Australia. So we've got a course, you know, no matter what you want to study, you can probably find that here. But over and above the study, it's probably Adelaide's lifestyle that is really sets it apart from many other cities in Australia. So for students in particular, it's really important that it's affordable. So Adelaide is around 20% more affordable than Sydney and Melbourne. And you know, we monitor things like, you know, average price of rents and things like that to make sure that we're staying on top of that. So it's also has a reputation for being safe, and so that obviously that's very important for the parents, you know, to know that it's a safe and secure place. A very welcoming city. I think a lot of people find that Adelaide is a very welcoming. The people are very friendly. It's also really accessible. I think that's one of the really big selling points, is that people can live relatively close to the city or close to their institution, their university or their school. And you're not spending a lot of time commuting, you know, so things are very, very accessible here. And probably the other thing is, you know, we are looking at helping international students if they want to work part-time while they're studying, or if they want to stay on after they've studied to find employment. You know, we do have programs that help with that. Okay,
and that's like, I was going to ask those 2 questions, like, because most students, when they come to Australia, or like say making a decision to come to Australia, you want to know like what are the options of me getting a job to sustain myself while in Australia, and what are the possibilities of staying in Australia after my graduation. So what are maybe visa opportunities? What are they that students could, or people wanting to come to Australia, or that are already African students that are already here, could look forward to as exploring as an opportunity to stay in Australia or find a job?
Okay, so the first part is about jobs. So what we do is we run programs such as an employment skills seminar. We're also looking at adding some new things this year about almost like a once a month drop in and ask some advice of a mentor about your CV. You know, so these seminars address things like interview skills, CV, you know, your CV and how that's networking skills. So trying to provide all the tools that students need to help them find part-time work. So it's still really important that the students take the initiative, you know, to put themselves out there, but we've got some tools to help them think about that. And then on graduation, we've got a program in South Australia that it's a first in Australia, where we're actually out talking to businesses about international students and trying to, especially those businesses who are looking to export, and saying, look, why not think about employing an international student or an international graduate? Because what better way to have a relationship with the country you're trying to do business with than have someone in your business who can either talk the language or knows the culture and that kind of thing. Now, the way to your second question about options to stay in South Australia, so there are a number of visas, as you would know. So probably the first one for students to really think about is the post-study work right visa. So it's the 485 visa. So for students who have a bachelor degree or higher, they can stay in Australia for between 2 and 4 years after they graduate. So they have to apply for the visa as they come to the end of their study, and if they have a bachelor degree, they can get a 2-year visa. That means they can be employed under the same conditions as an Australian citizen or a permanent resident. So there's no employer sponsorship required. So we're trying to educate businesses about that visa to make it easier for students. So, and then if the student is looking for more permanent options, it's probably best to check on the Immigration SA website. And the website is migration.sa.gov.au. There are a number of state-sponsored visas, so there's a couple of options there. Also, South Australia has introduced a high-performing graduate visa. So for students who've got a very high grade GPA, there's a few visas, a few sponsored opportunities available through that.
So, okay, what about like those that are in Africa who may want to know more about Study Adelaide? Because I understand you guys have student representatives, but they may not be all over Africa. So where do you have student representatives, and how can people source information?
Sure. So probably the first point of reference would be our website. So we have a really simple website. It's easy to remember, www.studyadelaide.com. So that's the first point of reference. But we would also encourage students to go and talk to their education agent. A lot of the institutions, so the universities and the vocational providers, work with education agents in Africa. So we help those institutions by providing them with information about Adelaide, so that the agents have information about Adelaide that they can share with prospective students and parents. So yeah, there's the website. We also have a Facebook site. We do have, for example, we know we've got a pretty good cohort from Nigeria on our Facebook, our Facebook site. So, we've got Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. And all of these social media platforms that students can look for. You talked about student ambassadors. What we do is when students are here in Adelaide, we appoint around. This year we've actually got 12 student ambassadors.
What do they do?
And so they help us, they help Study Adelaide promote, they help us at our events here in Adelaide, they help to, at their university, or they might talk about Study Adelaide and say, have you heard about Study Adelaide? You've got these free events that you can go to. So they help spread the word about some of the events and activities that we do. And they help us out at some of our events. They help us host and do other activities at our events. So.
You guys run social activities as well. I was going through the website, and it talks about is it camping? Or,
that's right. Yes.
Yeah. So how does it work for students who may have interest? How can you become a part of it?
Well, any international student who's studying at, say, one of the universities can join any of our activities. So as long as the institution is a member of ours, and most of all the universities are, so if they're at university, they can access any of our events. How to find out about the events, there's probably 3 best ways to do that. The first one would be to join our database. So through the website, they can sign up to be on our, to get a newsletter, e-newsletter. They can also download an app. We've got a Study Adelaide app. So I would encourage any student to download that, and through the app we send out notifications when events are about to, when event opportunities are arising, and otherwise, or join our Facebook and hear about it through Facebook. So we have a range. You talked about camping, so yeah, we do subsidise the cost of some regional tours to South Australia, but we have a whole range of other activities. So if I think about what's coming up, or even from before students arrive, we have a welcome desk down at the airport to welcome students as they arrive. We will have. We've got International Student of the Year awards. They've actually just launched this week. So
that's interesting.
Students can nominate themselves in certain categories, so academic excellence, but even also community awards, sporting achievement. So there's a number of categories that students can apply for, and we announce those in October as part of we have a farewell event for students who are about to finish their course. So. But at the beginning of the year, we have a welcome event at Town Hall. So the Lord Mayor puts his chains on and welcomes all the students to Adelaide. And then, as I said, throughout the year, we have a whole range of other activities. So we might give away some tickets to one of the AFL football games, the Aussie Rules football games. So yeah, a whole range of activities that students can make. But as I mentioned earlier, some of them are around the personal development, so the employment skills. We're really trying to have some fun activities, but as well as some development activities. Yeah.
So like maybe something like my final question, right? Like, do you work with African students because there are African Students Association at each of their major universities? Have you ever worked with them, or do you look forward to working with them, or maybe why you haven't worked with African students?
I think we haven't worked with the African Student Associations yet, but we would absolutely welcome the opportunity to. Some of the ways that we do work with some of the other student associations is we might support some of their events. So the Student Association might approach us to say, we're doing a small event, would you be able to sponsor us? So we'll look at the sponsorship opportunities and can help, and can maybe provide some help in that way. We know that there's a growing population of African students in Australia and in South Australia. Kenya and Nigeria are two countries where the numbers are are really significantly increasing. In fact, South Australia has a really good percentage of all Kenyan students in Australia, I think more than 20%. Our average market share of all international students in Australia is about 5%, whereas for Kenyan students, I think we've got about 20% are in Adelaide. So, but we've recently hosted, for example, some agents from Nigeria here on a FAMIL, so we're definitely getting more active in promoting Adelaide to African countries, and therefore we would love to have, for example, a student ambassador from from Africa as part of our ambassador team. So for anyone listening to this or watching this, we would really love them to think about connecting with Study Adelaide and applying. And if they'll see the applications for those ambassador roles, that'll come out through our social media platforms or our app. So just stay in contact with us, and then we can share all the opportunities. Yeah,
that's good, because like even during my time at university, I was seeing the logo, but I didn't know much about
didn't know what it meant,
Study
right?
And what it meant, and the services and opportunities you guys provide for students. I didn't know. I didn't have any clue. So it was good talking to you, Karyn, and just want to say thank you.
You're welcome.
For coming on. And thank you for listening. As usual, subscribe and like our videos, make comments, and thank you.